So I want to share with you a story. I'll share a few stories with you today. This is a story about how I kind of got here to share this message with you. So I'm 12 years old. I live in a little town called Hobart, Indiana. My mom's in the PTA. My dad's an electrician at U.S. Steel. He's at work that day. My mom's at the grocery store. And I'm running around the house like I always was. And the phone rings. And I pick up the phone. And I get one of those calls that change your life. I pick up the call or the phone. And I go, hello. And this woman says, honey, is your mom home? We need to talk to her. And I said, she's not here right now. And she says, well, we need to find her. There's been an accident. So apparently while my dad was at the mill, he was working on this great big electrical box. They have huge boxes there at the mill. He was in there with the screwdriver. His buddy Bill was in there with the flashlight. And the box didn't get tagged properly. And so while they were in there, somebody went and turned it on. And it exploded. It caught them both on fire. I didn't see my dad again for 6 months. When I did see my dad, it wasn't my dad. It was this mummy that was all wrapped up with red eyes and charcoal-y. And my mom lived at Loyola Burn Unit with him. I moved into my grandparents' house with my sister, my little brother, and my life totally changed. Now, the good news is that my dad made it. He survived. He even ended up going back to that mill, which is amazing, and finishing his term. Now, he has scars from here to here, but he's the first guy in the summertime to whip off his shirt and go swimming. The only time I ever really remember him complaining was when he had to have another hand surgery because his hand wouldn't open all the way. Now, here's a guy that doesn't even have his fingernails, and his hand wouldn't open all the way. It's the only time I heard him complain. What do we complain about? Traffic, piles, the annoying person next to us. Of course, they're thinking the same thing, so it's okay. Somebody in the audience is always, after our talk, is always in the audience going, man, I wish so-and-so would be here to hear this right now. But trust me, the person that really needs to hear this right now is here with us right now. So my dad made it, one of my heroes in the way that he moved through that horrific event, but it left me full of scars on the inside. I started being afraid of everything. I ended up having all kinds of anxiety. I was just waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Have you ever had that before? You ever felt that way where you're just waiting, just waiting? You wake up in the middle of the night because you're just waiting. You're playing these scenarios in your head, focused on what you're afraid of. Even if it doesn't come true, we pay for it in advance because we focus on it. I was no longer going through life playing to win. I was going through life playing not to lose. Have you ever gone through life playing not to lose? A lot of us are doing that right now and don't even know it. So the first gift that I want to share with you today is self-awareness. The awareness that you have power and potential inside of you. You have magnificence and energy inside of you. And it doesn't matter what kind of life experience you've had. It doesn't matter what kind of family you had. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter where you work or what the economy's like. None of it matters. You have the ability to shift what happens inside of you in extraordinary ways. And I want to share some of those ways with you because having that anxiety, I was always focused on bad things happening. And then the way to deal with it, I couldn't go around being angry all the time or scared all the time, right? So I would shift into anger. When people are afraid and they have too much uncertainty going on inside of themselves, they often will shift to anger. Anger, stress, sadness, it all comes down to fear. It all boils down to fear. Okay, now, my acronym for fear, F-E-A-R, used to stand for F everything and run. Feel free to use that one. And I've heard of finding excuses and reasons, false evidence appearing real, things like that. I've learned to change it, though. So fear now stands for feeling excited and ready. Feeling empowered and ready. It's all how you look at it. So instead of being afraid all the time, I decided that, I would just be mad. So I got angry all the time. And I found that that didn't help either, because when you're angry, you just cause situations to be more angry about. When you're playing the role of a victim, victims always have to be victimized. So when we play the role of victim, where why does this always happen to me? No matter what I do, it's never good enough. When we go into our own self-pity party, and the way out of that is everybody just go like this real quick. Yes, go, poor me! Okay? And then you can start to snap yourself out of it. Because it's just a hallucination. It's just a facade that we've bought into, so we think it's real, but it isn't. You can change the way you feel about anything. It's not what happens, it's how you interpret it that matters more than anything else. So I kept getting angry about everything, and then of course I'd fly off the handle and then end up creating more things, more problems, more stress, because that's where I was coming from. What you put out into the world gets mirrored back. Reminds me of this little fly. This fly is flying around, bzzz, really hungry, bzzz, sees a farm over there, bzzz, sees a nice pile of cow poo, bzzz, goes over there, lands on the cow poo, okay, eats, eats, this is so good. Eats so much that the fly tries to get up and fly away and can't. Tries again and it can't. It ate too much. Says, oh my goodness, how am I going to get out of here? And it looks over at this haystack and it sees a pitchfork and it looks at the handle and it says, if I climb all the way to the top and I jump off, I get a jump start and then I'll make it and I'll be able to get out of here. So he gets all the way to the pitchfork and then he's climbing up the handle. He gets all the way to the top of the handle and then he jumps off the pitchfork, splat, right on the ground. No more fly. What's the moral of the story? Never fly off the handle when you're full of crap. Things I learned the hard way. So I found that I had to change this. So I have my first class in high school and it's psychology, and I go, oh, now I can figure me out. And then they have a hypnotist come in to give a talk, and I volunteer, and I feel fantastic, and I get hypnotized. It's the first time I'm awake and alert. I thought I was going to cluck like a chicken. Didn't happen. But I was so relaxed, and it was the first time that anxiety, that knot in my stomach, went away. Now it came back because I had really got attached to it. We get attached to our symptoms. We get attached to our stress. We get attached to our stories that justify why we have to feel the way we feel. I'll get to that in a minute. So I started to feel a sense of peace, and I got hooked. So I spent the next 25 years going to school for psychology and learning every kind of peak performance tool there was, from hypnosis to NLP to EMDR to EFT, anything that had initials, any kind of peak performance thing. I really was drawn to, if there was some traumatic event or a bombing and they took specialists and they put them in, they brought these psychologists in to help people that have post-traumatic stress. I wanted to know, what were they doing to help them? Right then, right there on the spot. And I spent 20 years learning those techniques. And I've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people overcome horrific things in less than an hour. And it's pretty extraordinary. It started to teach me how powerful you really are. And it also helped me to realize that nobody seems to know it. We're not taught how to use our mind in this amazing way. So imagine you want to win the Indy 500. And so you put all your money into the car and none of the money into the driver. Will you win? No. You'll probably crash. If you have that fast a car and you haven't developed yourself. Zig Ziglar, the late great Zig Ziglar, he said that what you really need to thrive in life, you don't learn in school. How to set goals, how to achieve them, how to stay calm in the face of adversity.